Every technology makes its way from wonder to drudgery. It starts with Arthur C Clarke Any. Sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic, and ends with computer scientist Mark Weiser. The most profound technologies are those that disappear. They weave themselves in the fabric of everyday life until they are indistinguishable. When does a technology stop being technology and become a mere thing? Clothes and eyeglasses were once technology, so was writing. We hear a lot about the current pace of technological adoption. One of Silicon Valley's favorite PowerPoint presentations shows a graph charting how long it took for various platforms to reach 50 million users. IIT took the telephone 75 years from its invention in 1878. Radio needed 38 years, TV 13 years. Then things speed up. The internet takes 4 years, Facebook takes 3.5, and Angry Birds just 35 days. Image Angry Birds had meteoric success and even spawned a film, but who's playing it now? Leave aside the fact that the statistics in the slide are misleading for a number of reasons. The important thing here is the Silicon Valley triumphalism and the obsession with technology adoption. What the slide doesn't show is how long technologies stick around. How many people are still playing Angry Birds? And taking longer to reach critical mass might signal that a technology will endure longer. The adoption of truly fundamental technologies takes time. That's because new technologies must stand on the shoulder of old ones, just as Angry Birds requires the smartphone, or the cannon requires gunpowder. But it's also because the most important technologies lead to the most drastic changes. Fire was probably discovered by our ancestors 600,000 years ago. Its use only became widespread 125,000 years ago. Farming was invented some 10,000 years ago, but it took 4,000 years for the first city-states organized around farming to emerge, as Stephen Mithen points out in the London Review of Books. The adoption of truly fundamental technologies takes time. That's because new technologies must stand on the shoulder of old ones. Tom Cheshire. The Industrial Revolution and especially the advent of the information age accelerated adoption. But the tenacity of a technology is different from its popularity. MySpace and Weibo both reached that 50 million mark before fading into obscurity. Snapchat looks like it's following a similar trajectory, mainly thanks to the relentless copying of its features by Facebook. Zynga, the makers of Farmville, also passed 50 million before its decline. Compare that to SMS messaging, which turned 25 on Sunday. Happy birthday M8. It's been surpassed by WhatsApp and other over-smartphone apps. In 2015, 30 billion messages were sent every day globally on WhatsApp, compared to 20 billion sent via SMS, but SMS will outlast WhatsApp. If the latter went bust, or was banned by governments, people could switch to Signal or Telegram, for example, with very little friction. SMS is tough, though. You don't need internet access to communicate, and you can talk with any other device on the planet, not just with people using the same app. SMS works because of the boring, painstaking work of many committees to agree universal standards. That led to the beginning of the smartphone era. It was the first time we used telephones for more than talking. The same is impossible for the current generation of technology platforms. Google, Amazon and Facebook want to own the whole stack, to see every conversation, every search, and to profit from it. That makes innovation on top of them harder, both because of the closed nature of the platforms but also because innovators are at the mercy of one corporation. Zynga tanked after Facebook decided it didn't want its mindless, addictive games on its platform. Orkut, a social network popular in Brazil, had more than 80 million users before Google decided to shut it down. It's hard to imagine Google, Facebook, or Amazon being toppled. But they might be regulated out of dominance. One way to improve their resilience would be to adopt the same sort of open standards that guide cellular technologies like SMS and the 3G, 4G and 5G networks, or the standards that underpin the same ones that let you email any address in the world, from any provider. Researchers at the University of Chicago have proposed the concept of social graph portability. In the same way you can keep your mobile phone number when you switch networks, they want to do the same for all your connections with your friends. So you could use Weibo, say, to message your friends on Facebook or see their Snapchat posts. It would mean more competition for the networks, but paradoxically would make them more resilient. They'd become the durable spine for social networking, and their products would improve. Increased competition would make them pay more attention to users rather than advertisers. Problems like misinformation and extremism on their platforms would be taken more seriously. Image driverless cars have started a debate about standards and ethics. In some ways, the helter-skelter innovation of the last 2 decades, when companies rushed to own entire spaces, may be an anomaly. The adoption of two nascent technologies, AI, artificial intelligence, and driverless cars, is prompting a debate about standards and ethics, one we never had with social networks until recently. That's for 2 reasons. They are both extremely complex technologies, and they both could have very serious side effects if they go wrong. If driverless cars can't talk to each other seamlessly at junctions, whatever their brand, that means people will. But they also have the potential to reshape the world fundamentally. Even as we rush into the future, slow and steady wins the race. Sky Views is a series of comment pieces by Sky News editors and correspondents, published every morning. Previously on Sky Views, Adam Boulton, Paddington Bear is not just for kids.